Welcome, friends, to the Farmacy Seeds Network Amateur Radio Net, the Sunday night All Things Natural Net, hosted here on the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club's OMARC Repeater, the 146.805 megahertz repeater. All things located in Woodstock, New York. Thank you to everyone who came into the stream. Looks like we got quite a group of people in here tonight, so that's awesome. Hopefully we'll have some good check-ins and good conversation, as we often do. I'm just going to get the logbook out here and go ahead and get this net started. For anyone who's paying attention in chat, I don't necessarily respond to chat comments. I try to keep an eye on it, but I'm already running the radio and the logbook and the streaming software, and so my hands are a little full. So if I don't see a comment, I apologize. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. The Sunday Night All Things Natural Net is an amateur radio net provided by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club via the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club's 146.805 megahertz repeater with a PL tone of 103.5 and a negative shift of 600 kilohertz. This net is dedicated primarily to gardening, farming, and ecology, although the topic of discussion tends to go broader than that sometimes. We even get into Raspberry Pi sometimes. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is KD2IIN Net Control, looking for any check-ins for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net.
Naturally, entering UIQ.
Paulie! Haven't heard Paulie in a long time.
All things, KD2, RFI.
Awesome. Paulie, Bobby. Bob, I shouldn't say Bobby. I don't know if he likes Bobby. Alright, well there's two so far. N3EYQ, who seems to be making a comeback tonight, and KD2 RFI are both recognized. If there are any further check-ins, please call now.
Here's K2BHN.
Alright, the net additionally recognizes K2BHM. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll come back to another opportunity for check-ins in a few minutes. Let's start with Paul, N3EYQ. Yeah, I haven't heard from you in a while, Paul. How you been? How's life treating you? Where you at, and what are you up to?
Let's see, home, up to no good, and what's the other ring? Oh, never mind. You know, what I was thinking is rodent control. I've got a carpet outside, and the corners have been chewed off. What's the best way to get rid of that kind of garbage? You know what I mean? I had a rat's nest or mice nest in my Camaro's air cleaner a couple years, about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and trying to think of a way to prevent that. That's where UIQ.
Gotcha. Well, let's see. On the carpet, you might be able to put something on there that they don't like a mint oil, or I don't know if rodents are able to detect capsaicin, but like a hot pepper, anything with hot pepper in it, even just some cayenne pepper might deter them. I'm pretty sure all mammals can detect capsaicin, but I don't think, in fact I know, most birds don't. So that might be an option. You could also do something called a bucket trap. You basically take a 5-gallon bucket, you put some water in the bottom, you put a ramp coming up to the bucket, a spindle with like a coffee can or something that spins in the middle. You put your bait on that, like peanut butter or whatever. They come up the ramp, they go to get to the bait, they fall off in the bucket and they drown. I don't know. That's all that comes off the top of my head at the moment. But let's roll on down and greet the other people in the net here, and then we'll circle back around. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. We're going to go on down to KD2 RFI. How are you doing, Bobby? How are you healing up?
KD2 RFI. Good evening, everyone. CJ, I'm actually
Hey, Bill.
doing great. I got to tell you, it's the best surgery I've ever had in my life. life. I feel like $1 million, but I just got to remind myself to slow down sometimes. The downside is I'm going absolutely nuts, trying to remind myself to slow down. I'm looking outside at the bees, the firewood, the chickens, everything else I got to do and take care of, and I can't do the work I want to do. I got a ton of things planned and can't do nothing for about 3 to 5 weeks. Yeah, probably 3 weeks. 3 weeks I'll probably throw in the towel and get back to work. But other than that, everything's going good. I do also got a comment on your greenhouse videos you've been doing. I've been enjoying them very much. I'm only 2 into them at the moment. I got the 3rd one. For some reason, it's not showing up on my feed, but I will track it down and I will get that 3rd one in. But I'm enjoying those very much. KD2 R5 back to control.
All right, very good, Bob. I'm glad to hear you're healing up and it's going well. Yeah, I'll bet you're going to feel like a whole new man once you're really done healing. I can totally relate. I think sitting around 3 to 5 weeks, well, I know it was almost 8 weeks total, right? I can't imagine sitting around even 3 weeks looking at all the things I got to do. That might just kill me by itself. And yeah, thank you very much on the compliment on the greenhouse videos. Yeah, we're going to keep them coming, and I'm glad you're enjoying and appreciate them. Yeah, wonderful, thank you. All right, well, let's roll on down the list here to K2BHM, and then we'll do another. My mouth can't keep up with my brain. We'll roll down to K2BHM, and then we'll do another opportunity for check-ins. KD2 and control.
That's all, folks. Oh, I feel your pain. Oh, I have to laugh at your Mousetrap. I did the TV game show type sink or swim challenge, and they won. I put a 1/4-inch dowel rod across the top of the bucket with some peanut butter on it, and you know those son of a guns, they could get on there and they could roll that like the best loggers and the lager championships and whatever, and they got all the peanut butter off, and not a single one wound up down the drink. And I played around with paint stars with hinges and setting up swan dive paddle boards and stuff like that. These guys are intense. Holy cow. Oh, I'm challenged by a freaking mouse. Anyhow, you made a good laugh tonight. Thanks. I needed to answer this week. K2BHM.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like being beat by an Einstein mouse, is there? Well, let's see. While we're on the topic, just real quick, I know that Frederick Dunn of Frederick Dunn YouTube channel put out a video this last week on mouse traps, and he builds a sort of a long box, and 4 mouse traps go in the box. He's using these metal traps. I forget what they're called or what the maker is, but they looked really nice. But either way, you put 4 traps in the box. There's not room in the box to go around the traps. You bait all 4, and the box keeps, you know, cats and other stuff that you don't want getting into the trap out. And the other thing it does is it contains them, so when they walk through there to go after the bait, they basically are guaranteed to step on one of those traps and get trapped. And then the advantage to that, of course, is you're not just catching one mouse. If you get one, you might still be able to get up to 3 more in the same night in that same box. So that might be something to consider. Also, I wonder if you're using just a dowel or if you're using like a coffee can or something, you want something that spins really easy and gives horrible traction for claws. But we'll come back to that conversation because I want to do an opportunity for check-ins here. This is KD2 Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. Looking for any further check-ins, please call now. Hey, Hermit. Good to see you. Alright, doesn't sound like any further check-ins. I'm going to put it back to Jim quick just so he can respond to my question.
Thanks, BJ. I'm kind of blown away. I'm thinking that I'm approaching this from the wrong attitude. I need to put the dowel rod back.
Jeez.
And I need to set up a they're monitoring it, and they need to publish it on YouTube and make $1 million.
KD2, and well, that sounds like a good idea. It's actually amazing how many views some of those channels get. There's one that I'm subscribed to called Mousetrap Monday, and this guy has tested every trap known to man and some that probably aren't even known to man. He does really good, really good, clear, concise testing of those traps with video camera footage and all. Excellent. So you might be up against some fierce competition, but I'm sure you'll persevere. Anyway, let's roll on back to the top of the list here. N3 EYQ. How does that strike you all?
Darn, I picked up the wrong microphone. I got two Kenwood microphones sitting here, and one did a radio. Of course, I threw that one out there because they're chewing the corner of this rug I got out in the yard under my little hot rod, you know. And I found a little mouse nest in the air cleaner in my car, so I just didn't want to have that happen again. I hope they don't end up in the camper. That's the other thing. But oh well. N3 UIQ.
All right, yeah, I know peppermint oil will repel them, so maybe stick a little peppermint oil residue inside the air cleaner, and then carry on a trapping program in addition to it. It's one of the things that we use here in regenerative agriculture and farming in general is something called IPM, or integrated pest management, and it's more the concept of coming at it from several approaches at once and using those together in a synergistic stack rather than just trying to use one thing or the other. You do a combination of things. You make something that repels them in one place and something that draws them in another to your trap, that sort of thing. So that might be a good program to employ. I certainly understand not wanting mice into your air cleaner. I've had them in air cleaners before. I've had them in vehicles. I've had them leave that horrible smell on the carpet in vehicles. Man, I absolutely despise mice. I recognize them as part of the ecosystem, but boy, if they could just stay away from me entirely, that'd be great. Anyway, let's roll on down to Bob, KD2 RFI.
KD2 RFI. CJ, it sounds like you and I have the exact opposite problem. Your brain outruns your mouth. Half the time my mouth outruns my brain. But anyway, on a different note, yeah, the rats and the mice, I had them here for a spell a few years ago.
I'm told it works
well.
They
got up into my truck and chewed up a wiring harness. My truck started having mystery problems all of a sudden. And brought the mechanic, and sure enough, they found a whole bunch of acorns and nuts and up in the valley between the motor by the intake, and the wiring harness was chewed through. So, yeah, it's definitely not a friend of mine.
Nope.
I use the old conventional traps, but I did see that Frederick Dunn video, and I very much like that idea, especially for the fact that something, if I have problems in my chicken coops again with rats or mice, I can put something like that inside, and I won't have to worry about the chickens getting into it or a larger animal getting into the traps and hauling the traps away. Because I've had that happen. I've gone out there and found traps fully missing. Whatever got into them, whether it was a skunk, a squirrel, or whatever, they just drug the trap off with them. So, definitely very good video to watch if you definitely have a mouse problem or a rat problem or something. It's a very interesting way he does it. It's very neat. I do like his theology on that. So. All right, not a whole lot more going on in here. On this side of the creek, or actually, I'm sorry, wrong repeater. On the north side of this repeater. I'm going to be, hopefully as soon as I heal up, I want to start digging some post holes and start prepping my garden for next year.
Barn cat would help a lot, Kirsten.
All the chicken compost, so to speak, the manure and the wood shavings for the chicken coop. Last couple of years, I've been dumping that on the ground. I threw some hay down on the ground and everything else, and prepping the soil, and hopefully hopefully sink some post holes, put up some cedar posts, get some netted around. I figure probably about a 6-foot fence. Probably going to wind up having to net it over top of it too, keep the birds out, meaning my chickens.
Yep.
But hopefully we'll get a garden in the ground next year. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. Back to Nick.
All right, fantastic, Bob. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Frederick Dunn's videos are just all, I don't think I've seen a video from him that wasn't really professionally done, well thought out, good theory and theology behind it. I agree. Yeah, he really puts out nice videos. And I like those metal traps of his. I might have to, when I get some extra funding, go back and pick up a few of those. That's one thing I've found, that the quality of traps has gone down in the past 5 years, or maybe 10 now, significantly. I find that the Victor mousetraps are still pretty good, but even those aren't great. Yeah, I like the box containment method, and yeah, I like the fact that it keeps keeps your other animals out of it, and it keeps traps from being drug off. And yeah, I've had mice drag off traps, down into crevices and cracks you can't retrieve the trap from, or God knows where. So I can relate to that as well. Anyway, let's see. I did get a comment here. Getting a barn cat might help here from the YouTube channel from Kirsten Lee. I know Paul isn't on a farm there, but for those of us that are on farms, cats are helpful. And I actually have a couple of stray cats around here that come in, and man, they just they definitely are tearing up the mouse population. And I have hawks and other sorts of predators coming in as well, going after them, but just there's just so many of them, it's hard to beat them all. Anyway, let's roll on down to K2BHM, and then we'll do another opportunity for check-ins. This is KD2 and Net Control. K2BHM, Europe.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. K2BHM here. Yeah, I've heard it's been a horrendous year for mice.
Thank you, YT.
As far as cats are concerned, oh God.
I'd love to have a couple of kittens
cats here. We had them for
I doubt they could be shipped.
Sisters. And cats are interesting. If the mice are outside, they will kill them and bring them to the front door and present them to you as a present and try and bring them inside. But if the mice are inside the house, they're pets. Oh God, you gotta love it.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think cats are like people, are like dogs, are like Sasquatch, are like cows. Each one has its own personality and own perspective on things. I've seen cats that'll go after mice indoors, and I've had cats that wouldn't touch going after a mouse indoors, but outdoors it was game on. So I can totally relate to that. I do have a comment here from the YouTube channel from YTF Pete Chris. He said Frederick Dunn also did a video way back with regular traps. The best rat and mouse kill traps that work every single time without fail. So you might try searching that as well. Alright, let's do another opportunity for check-ins here, and then we'll carry on. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. Negative. Alright, no further check-ins recognized. We'll roll back to the top of the list. N3 EYQ.
Oh, you're not talking about Tom and Jerry now, are you? N3 EYQ.
Tom and Jerry is one of my favorite old school cartoons. Right, we'll roll on down to Bob, KD2 RFI.
Not a whole lot more here. Like I said, I've been pretty much just sitting on the couch playing couch potato the last few weeks, so it's been kind of dull and mundane, not getting much done around here. I do like the idea that, while we're talking about mousetraps anyway, the bucket of water, and you putting the bait in the middle of it on like a can or spinning pipe or something. So that's usually pretty effective from everything I've seen. You can catch multiple mice within one night with it and just deal with them in the morning. So once you get them in, whether it's mice or rats or whatever, you get a family or colony of them in, it's hard to keep up with. When I first started my chicken coop, I have pretty much it's a horse stall sitting right on the ground on natural process. So as it decomposes, I just move the mulch out into a garden or my yard or a compost pile, wherever I want to put it, and not have to worry about it too much. And sit right on the dirt ground, everything drains right out. Well, the downside was the rats had found it early on, and they moved in, and once I realized they were in there, I went in and found them living actually within the mulch. They were building tunnels and burrows all throughout the mulch.
Yep.
So I spent the day, probably about 2-3 hours at least, with a pitchfork turning over the mulch. I found 4 rat dens with baby rats in them. And it was just absolutely incredible. So you really got to keep up on it. And the best way to keep on it is just by constantly trapping them. Same thing with the honeybees. I do the same thing out there. I'll put the regular spring traps, those cheap little wooden traps, and staple a string or a wire to them and drive a nail into the ground so they can't run off with them and drag them away and fall into the cracks and everything else. So it seems to work pretty well. And it helps me because if I don't get my mouse guards up on the beehives in time, at least I'm trapping them so they don't get a time, or they don't have the opportunity to establish themselves within the beehives, because I usually get them before that happens. So, I don't know, just something to think about. Back to net.
KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. Yeah, excellent insight and thoughts on that, Bob. And yeah, that video was, I think it was back this spring, where you had mice in one of the hives and you were trying to get them out of there. That was interesting to see. For those who don't know, Bob also has a YouTube channel, Black Bear Apiaries, or Black Bear Apiary. So check that out if you're interested in honeybees, skydiving, and mice inside of beehives, and a bunch of other stuff. Actually, I think you had a video of the bears going after your chickens also. So excellent channel and excellent information. Anyway, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM.
Lots of ideas on tricks to pull on mice. It's becoming a challenge now. I gotta think about this a little bit and do a little bit of research and come up with some more. Well, yeah, and you do them. That would be fun. You guys got my mind going. 440.
Awesome. Well, you got the Raspberry Pi cameras and all that stuff, so you could repurpose some of those or build some new units to do that. And yeah, love to see that. So it was interesting to see. It's interesting to see how mice interact with traps and all sorts of other obstacles. So often we just set a mouse trap and we come back and they're either dead in it or they're not. And it's hard to really get better insight on it. Those recorded videos of that is a great insight on what they're doing, how they're interacting with the traps, how they're coming into them and out of them, directionally or geographically and all that sort of stuff. So very interesting. All right, let's just see if there's any further check-ins. This is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. Oh, it's a dead night tonight. All right, no further check-ins recognized. We'll roll back to the top list. N3 UIQ.
Yeah, other than that, I really didn't have much to say. Yeah, they were chewing up the corner of a carpet I had outside. Something was doing it anyway, but didn't know where I was going. Oh well. Other than that, sounds like you guys got it all figured out. Maybe not all.
I don't know about all figured out.
my brand, just a little story. I bought a 2018 Camaro about 2 years ago, and I didn't get it home. And come to find out, the mice had eaten through the wiring underneath the car while it was at the dealership. So I have a little interest in this. N3 UIQ.
All right, very good. We'll pick up some peppermint essential oil and try that as a deterrent. And like I said, that integrated pest management concept is the way to go. And Bob's right. You got to keep constant pressure on it, and not forget. Just put it in your daily cycle or your weekly cycle, whatever cycle you're on, as far as maintaining that pressure against the pests. Also, as far as the carpet chewing goes, you might look into, did something get spilled on the carpet that's drawing something in to chew on it? What is the reason or mechanism that's making them chew on it? Just things to consider. And the wiring harness thing, yeah, oh man, I can't express in non-explicative words how much I dislike mice. Put it that way. All right, KD2RFI, you're up.
Yeah, it's an indoor-outdoor carpet that I have under my car, so so I don't drag stones and dirt into it.
Yeah, you sure can.
Like
All right, very good. And we'll roll on down to Bob, KD2RFI.
KD2RFI. Yeah, that was
Sure
about
can,
a $600
Kristen.
repair bill. So it definitely was not fun.
Except for
Caused
steel wool.
quite a significant amount of damage, not only to
That slows them down.
vehicles, but pretty much wherever they are. I go through it every winter here. My house sits way back off the road. I'm like a 1,200-foot driveway and probably about 800 feet off the road. So it's a really nice, secluded spot, nice and relatively quiet, not a whole lot of problems. A couple lousy neighbors come by, eat my chickens occasionally, but that's what black bears do. But yeah, so I get mice in the house every single year. So for me, it's one of those things I just put up with, and like CJ said, keep the pressure on, and you just got to keep up on them, keep trapping them. I think that day I turned over my chicken coop, the bedded in chicken coop, and found all them rats in there. I think I pulled out like 20. Wasn't able to catch any of the adults, but I think I pulled out about 20 of the babies in various stages, which I hate doing, but it's something you just gotta keep up on. Luckily for me, though, the black snakes slithered on in, or rolled on in, however you want to say it, and they pretty much took over the turf. So ever since the black snake showed up, I have not had a problem with the rats. Now it's just the mice I'm fighting, so it's good to fight a war on one front. So it makes it a little bit easier. But other than that, as long as you keep up on it and do the daily maintenance or the weekly maintenance, however you want to look at it, and keep on trapping them and just keep them under control, they're really not all that bad. It's just one of those things for me, living out in the woods, and I know, CJ, you're kind of a off-grid type area. You're not off-grid, but
Yes,
it's
they
just
are, Kirsten.
that type farm environment, I guess, is what I'm referring to. You just got to keep up on it. It's just one of those things. All right, KD2 R5 back then.
All right, yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny you mentioned the snakes. Those black snakes are super fast, man. Those things can cruise. And they're excellent for that. Funny you mentioned the snakes and mice. I actually had a comment on one of the videos I put up yesterday asking about how I deal with critters in the greenhouse, mice and that sort of thing. And then today I go in there to start up the greenhouse furnace, and there's a snake up on the bench, and there's a big bulge in him. You can see he's eating a mouse. So that was interesting. I think he might be a poisonous snake, so I did relocate him out of the greenhouse. But pick your poison. Which would you rather have around, snakes or mice? For me, I think I'd rather have snakes around, provided they're not poisonous. And if they are, then they just have to go a little further away from me, that's all. But anyway, they're a great asset and tool. And again, this goes back to the whole concept of study and mimic nature, and use those integrated pest management systems just like nature does. If you have diversity, you have a pretty well-regulated ecosystem. When we start upsetting that balance, that's when things get out of hand. All right, let's roll on down to Jim, KU2, BHM.
Okay, I'm kind of lost here. We're talking about being between a rock and a hard spot and picking the lesser of the two evils. When did we give up on farming and gardening and start talking politics?
that's funny. I was gonna, as soon as you said that, I was thinking, well, at least we're not talking about politics here. And we're not going to, but great comment, Jim. All right, this is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. All right, no further check-ins. We'll roll back to the top list. N3 EYQ.
Oh, what else am I going to say? Oh, well, you guys have some great ideas.
Interesting.
I've heard everything from mothballs to, it's like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. When I bought that car, like I said, right at a dealership that rodent problems, so I was like, oh, man.
Oh, my God.
All right, that's where you like you.
KD2 and Control. So yeah, interesting. I got a comment here from my friend Geeky Gardens. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Channel is Geeky Gardens. He's down in Florida, and he says, I get along well with my black racers, referring to snakes. And he says, as long as the black racers are around, I don't have to worry about any rattlers coming around. Apparently they maintain the territory, so that's great. You have snakes that are non-poisonous, and they're keeping the non-poisonous, or keeping the poisonous snakes away, and handling the rats and mice issue. So that's a fantastic example of how that should work theoretically. All right, we'll roll on down to KD2 RFI.
Mice and rodents and other filthy creatures. I kind of thought we were talking politics. Well, it's a shame we can't address it directly because, I got a lot to say. Unfortunately, my mouth knows how to run my brain. But anyway, but yeah, no, definitely you're right, TJ. It's all about balance, and the balance is so nice. I thought I was dreading having to deal with these rats for years and years, and I figured every day I'd be fighting them and chasing them and trying to shoot them with a pellet gun or trying to trap them or whatever. I just dreaded the process, and I didn't want to get
for politicians, yeah.
If you get poison to a rat, it runs out and dies, or has ingested the poison and gets caught by a hawk or another creature that's a predator to them, and they wind up dying, or the snake eats it and they wind up dying. So the poison's definitely not the route for me. I just did not want to go that route at all. Worried about being a bigger problem. But I don't know. Luckily, like you said, everything, nature has a way of working itself out, and I kept the rats and the mouse problem to a minimum, and the snakes moved in, which for me worked out wonderful. So now every time, you'll see, I think I heard a couple videos up of it as well, and thank you, Geeky Gardens. I see you threw a link up there on the YouTube, on the live stream. But I went to the chicken coop a couple times. You can find snakes in there. Black snakes eat my eggs. They don't bother the chickens at all. They go in, they snatch a few eggs, and they're gone. I see them a couple days later. So I don't mind sharing my eggs with them. If they're keeping the rats out, I'm more than happy to feed them eggs. So I got two or three of them floating around. One's about 5 foot, one's over 6 foot long.
Wow.
So, again, they don't bother me. They don't come after me. They're not anything to worry about. It's between a rock and a hard place, choosing between, the rats or the snakes. Well, it is what it is, I'll pick one. I think November 3rd is a good day to pick one. All right, sorry. Send it back to you.
Nobody can resist. All right, very good. Yeah, I agree with you on all fronts, and those are some pretty large snakes. That's awesome. And yeah, I think I'd be willing to trade a couple of eggs for rat and mouse control for sure. Yeah, I'm really trying to bite my lip on the politics because I have all kinds of comments on it too. But it just seems that seems to be too polarizing, and I don't want to cause arguments. Our whole goal here is to facilitate good communication and good community, and I guess we could sit down and have a discussion about politics some other time. Anyway, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM. Ceramic eggs.
Talking
Eat a
politics,
ceramic
I
egg?
talked to rats, but
Wow.
yeah,
I've been missing their
certain
content lately.
installations on wires, particularly
Interesting.
like the Verizon telephone lines and the buried spectrum lines and so forth,
Yeah,
are
it's a crappy way to
very
go, so to
interesting
speak.
to mice, rats, rabbits, whatever. And they tend to attack them. And they've been working on materializing something that's not as friendly, but Verizon doesn't care anymore because they want you to pay more for the cell phone. So that's not an no-brainer. Leave me alone. Anyhow, but interestingly enough, back years ago, I did a lot of work down in the, well, now it would be up in the South Mall complex in Albany. Fire, police, emergency evacuation systems and whatever. And all of the systems there had Teflon twisted pair insulated wiring with a stainless steel braid over the outside. And they needed to go to stainless steel to protect it against the rats and the mice and stuff like that. It was like, holy crap, these guys are intense. Okay. I give up. K2BHM.
Yeah, they're a tough pest to manage. Interesting you mentioned the stainless steel shielding or braiding or whatever. That is another option if you have like a hole in a corner or something that the mice have come through and you want to keep them out. You can put steel wool in there, and I would do something to anchor it so they can't just push it out. But they will not chew through steel wool, so that's another option if you're trying to fill in little cracks and holes with something that mice won't chew back through. Steel wool works pretty well. I know we use that up in the place up in the Catskills. We'd be gone for most of the winter, and we really had to do our best to protect against mouse invasions. Anyway, interesting. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. We're going to do one more opportunity for check-ins here, and then we'll roll back through the list. This is any new check-ins, call now. Trip over my own brain. Make your car cover out of stainless, yeah. With nuclear flaming shields. Alright, no further check-ins recognized. We'll roll back to the top list. N3, YQ. I meant to talk about what you were talking about with the ceramic egg, but...
I have nothing to add. I've been listening in pretty good. And got a few ideas on how to deal with my rodent infestation problem. So, that's how it goes. Alright, then 3 UIQ.
Alright, very good. We'll roll on down to Bob, KD2, RFI.
Not a whole lot more to add tonight.
That's fine.
Just,
I'm
trying to
tired
throw
too.
together another video. my daughter, I can't skydive right now, which kind of stinks, but my daughter went last Thursday. She wanted a sunset skydive, so the weather finally worked out for her and her schedule and everything else, so we went down to the skydive place, and I told her if I owned my own equipment, I'd be on the plane with her, and she's like, no, because I would tell them, you can't, Dad. So I said, thanks. She's my little snitch, keeping me safe, despite my own actions, so she's pretty funny that way. But we went down, had a great day. She had a wonderful jump, and she pulled high. By pull high, they deployed their parachute high with her and her instructor. She went as a tandem, two of them on one parachute. And had a really nice flight down. They were probably 3 minutes longer flight time than everyone else because they deployed really high. So it was absolutely wonderful. So I'm kind of throwing that video together right now. Trying to talk her into taking lessons. She's jumped lessons, or I think she's a little unsure of her own abilities, but she's having a great time with it. We're enjoying it, and I'm really hoping that one day I can jump with both my girls and, you know, just be like a family free fall. So it's pretty wild. It's a lot of fun. So I recommend anybody who does it. And I got to tell you, talking about skydiving is a hell of a lot better than talking about politics. 82 RFI. Send it back to you, CJ.
Where did you jump?
KD2 and control. I will absolutely second that sentiment, and then I'll even extend it further. Talking about anything has got to be better than talking about politics. Anyway, awesome. I'll look forward to the video with the skydiving. Some beautiful weather we've had lately, and boy, I bet those fall sunsets are awesome from way up there. I just have no desire to jump out of a fully operating aircraft. But, you know, maybe that'll change in the future, who knows. But the family jump, that's awesome. I'm sure Tom Petty would be very happy to hear that. All right, let's see. We'll just do one last opportunity for check-ins here, and then we're going to roll back through the final roll-through, and we'll wrap the net up. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. With any further check-ins, pick up your microphone or forever hold your peace.
I like to forever hold my peace and check in. KC28. Alright, where did you jump? Enter UIQ.
Was that a peaceful check-in? KC2 NDA is recognized, and we'll go back to KC2 NDA in just a moment, and we'll let Bob answer N3 EYQ's question. So KD2 RFI, you're up.
Let me send that back to him. I totally missed the question. I apologize. Send it back. Repeat that question, please.
Question was, where is she jumping from? Where do you jump from?
I copy that. I got that. Yes, Skydive the Ranch right down in Gardner. I actually used to work not too far from there, and I would watch them jumping out almost every day during the summer and years ago, and I swore to myself I was going to do that one day. So surprisingly, so far the entire family has. But it's great. I definitely recommend it. KD2 RFI, send it back.
Enter UIQ.
All right, did that answer your question, Paul?
I'll be honest with you, you know, every time I've gone down there, they've been really rude about spectators. I don't understand it, but I don't mind watching. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know what's going on with that.
All right, I'll let Bob respond to that on our last rotation back through. I'm going to roll on down here to KC2 NDA. A squared Ron, what's going on?
Just checking in. Don't know, haven't been listening, so I don't know where everything's at.
We're just getting ready to wrap it up, but we've mostly been talking about rodents and snakes and rodent control. And the occasional comment on politics is flirted around that, but we've managed to stay clear of politics so far. I'll put it back to you for any further comment, and then we'll roll back through rotation.
Yeah, we seem to have a little bit of a mouse problem, but like usual, as soon as it gets cold, little rodents start coming in.
For sure. And I hear the little guy in the background there having fun. So that's all right. Let's roll back to N3 EYQ. Any final comments for the net? Pick it up.
I have nothing, but like I said, every time I've ever been down that way, the owners of the ranch have been really annoying about people that want to see what's going on. So, N3 EYQ.
All right, very good. Now I'll put it to Bob. KD2 RFI.
KD2 RFI. Well, 2020 has definitely been an interesting year. So, unfortunately, a lot of people people aren't allowed in a lot of places that they're used to going without an issue. So I don't know. I can't speak much on it, but I can tell you, everyone I've been down there with, they are just aces. They make me feel real comfortable and very confident in everything I'm doing, and they're with me 110%. And it's really, in all honesty, it's like family. It really is. It's like a family. We all count on each other. We party with each other, and we hang out with each other. So it's a really tight-knit group. Very sorry you had a bad experience. So, but hopefully things look up for you in the future, and maybe one day be able to, throw a harness on. Maybe you can look down upon them from about 12,500 feet. KD2 RFIs and it back.
All right, very good. And I'll just add that they may have a different mentality about people trying to watch from outside rather than people coming in who actually want to go skydiving. Just a thought or comment on it. Anyway, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM, your final comments for the net.
I think I share your sentiment, CJ. My dad is a very close personal friend for 40 years. He's a private pilot. I've been up with him in his Piper twin-engine Comanche and so forth and so on.
Comanche, that's a nice
And
aircraft.
I have all kinds of confidence in that plane. I see no reason to leave it. It's perfectly fine the way it is.
Yeah, all the good pilots I know have no desire to jump out of an aircraft. They don't even pack a chute. I'm going to land this plane back safely, or I'm going down with it. And the Comanche, oh, that's a nice aircraft. There was one of those over at Sky Park across from my parents growing up. Used to love watching an aircraft take off. Never did get a ride in that one, but they're a nice one. All right, let's roll on down to Aaron, KC2 NDA. Your final comments for the net.
Yeah, I just refurbished an HT-1250, and I know this is not about rodents or snakes, but it's making me feel really happy.
All right, very good. Could you just elaborate for people who might not know what the HT-1250 is?
It's a Motorola commercial radio, which can be used for the ham bands. And it is a portable. It's only about 5 watts, VHF. And I put a bunch of them online, and they all had broken pots, broken channel and pot. I don't know, it's like somebody just shaved them off. And they're very hard to unsolder. And yeah, so I ordered a bunch of parts, and new cases, new everything, and I got a good deal on them, but by the time I'm done, they pretty much are going to cost a pretty good penny. Well, I guess if I can fix about 5 of them, I'll probably make my money back, but other than that, yeah, that's what they are, and they're pretty nice.
Awesome. Yeah, Motorola definitely made top quality radio stuff for a number of years. And back when I had cell phones, I bought nothing but Motorola up until I went to the BlackBerry, and things evolved out of the flip phone era. But I can tell you, those Motorola's in the field with me, having a rough day, got bounced off the concrete a few times, and man, you could pick them up and they'd still work. They're just amazing, durable built radio equipment. So. Glad you were able to get some of those fixed up and put them back into action. All right, with that, we're going to wrap this net up. A couple announcements. Every day at 8:35 a.m. and 6:30 p.m., the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Net has 2 amateur radio nets in the morning and evening. Hope you'll check those out. Sort of a community get-together kind of thing over the radio. Every Thursday at 8 p.m., K2JLV runs the Thursday Night Net. That is a more technically oriented net regarding amateur radio, Raspberry Pi, DMR, and many other technical topics. That net actually went almost 2 hours this week. It's quite a good discussion. Lots of interesting stations and people and information. Hope you'll check that out as well. And of course, tonight you've just been listening to the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net, run by yours truly, KD2IIN. Alright, that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been a session of the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net, sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club and hosted over the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club 146.805 megahertz repeater. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2IIN saying 7-3 and inviting you to join us again next week. Thank you, everyone. KD2IIN will be clear. .com.
That's all, folks.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you in the portal.